Yes. Good morning. Namaskar, everybody. A little bit late. Sorry for the delay. Let us begin with a prayer from the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam or Bhagavatam Puranam is one of the 18 major Puranas. This is on page 94 of the book Universal Prayers, the first one on page 94. Om Sasyastavishtasya Kala Prasidatam Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Mitho Dhiya Manascha Badram Bhajatadadhokshaja Aveshatam No Matirapyakaituki Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is auspicious. And may our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Om peace. Peace be within us all. Peace and harmony be amongst all beings. Peace be everywhere in nature. This prayer is very particularly relevant and important at the present time in view of the situation prevailing in this world, full of violence, hatred. So we pray in our humble way to the Lord to restore peace and love and harmony. Now let us continue with chapter 15. The verses, shlokas 7 to 11 in chapter 15. The 5 shlokas, they are a very important part of this chapter. There, the Lord describes how He Himself has assumed all the forms and become all the beings. This is something we learn from the Upanishads, from other teachers. In the Upanishad, very succinctly, briefly, it is said, all this is Brahman. In the Chandogya Upanishad, there is a very famous statement, Sarvam Kalu Idam Brahma. Idam Sarvam, this whole universe is Brahman. From whom or from which everything has come. Whole universe, creation has come. From the Creator, from the Lord. And the creation is sustained by Him, by His power, as we saw earlier in the shloka number 6. It will come again in this chapter. Everything functions because of God's power in everything. From the smallest creature, from the individual cell, or even atom, lots of things are going on in the atom. And all the way to the biggest thing in the universe, stars and galaxies. Everything in between functions using one source of power. Only one source of power is there, which makes all these things do whatever they are doing. Sun is shining, and etc. And that is God's power. So that is sustained by Him. And everything lives for some time. Some things stay in this world for a long period of time. Stars and galaxies, they live for billions of years. Some things live for a very short time. People live for 80, 90, 100 years. Some animals live for a very short time. And some very fine subatomic particles live for a few seconds only. Then they disintegrate. But everything ends. What happens when all these things end their existence here? They go back and merge into the source. This is a very important idea in Vedanta. That is nicely explained in one mantra in the Chandogya Upanishad. Sarvam kalvidam brahma tajjalaniti shanta upasita. That sentence explains all these things briefly. Idam sarvam, this whole universe is Brahman. And tajjalam, tajja, everything is born from Brahman, comes from Brahman. And everything is laya, goes back and merges into Brahman. And in between, everything is sustained by Brahman. That is the explanation of this universe, how it came, how it is functioning. And that idea has been explained in a little more detail in the Gita, in these verses 7 to 11. And that same idea has been taught in even simpler language by teachers like Sri Ramakrishna. He said, this is based on his experience. He didn't read any Upanishad or anything. He actually saw, experienced that this whole universe is the Divine Mother herself, according to his experience, Divine Mother. He didn't say Brahman. Then he said Brahman and Kali are one and the same. The Divine Mother herself has become the universe and the 24 cosmic principles and everything. Many times he said this one. The 24 cosmic principles, we are familiar with them. Where did we study them? Chapter 13, in sloka number 5. Mahabhuta, Nyahankaro, Buddhi, Rajyaktameva. All the 24 are listed in one sloka, 2 lines. Sloka number 5 in chapter 13. All of those things, of which the whole universe is made, have come from the Lord, according to Sri Ramakrishna, from the Divine Mother. She herself has become, he said many times, this whole universe and all the living beings and everything in it. That is what Sri Krishna is explaining in the Gita, in these 5 shlokas, 7 to 11. So one truth explained in different sources in a slightly different way to suit a different audience. Upanishad says, Sarvam Kaladam Brahma, it is for certain people, they can grasp that one. They don't need much explanation. When Sri Ramakrishna says, Divine Mother herself has become the whole universe and all beings in it, that is easily understandable by a majority of people. And Gita says in 5 shlokas the same thing. That appeals to many people. Gita shlokas are interesting, not as difficult as Upanishadic mantras, and easy to grasp. So let us do 7 to 11. Some of this we did, I think, last time. But this group of 5 shlokas, 7 to 11, they form one unit and we study them and then move forward. So sloka number 7. Mamaivāṃśo jīvaloke jīvabhūtaḥ sanātanaḥ manaḥṣaṣṭhānīndriyāṇi prakṛtisthāni karṣati. Very interesting and very important shloka. Very important idea is here. Who are we? The question we all should ask, who am I? The answer is given right here in one sentence. Mama eva amshaha. Mama means mine. Amsha means a part. The Lord is saying, Bhagavan is saying, a part of me alone, mama eva amshaha, jīvaloke, in this world of beings, jivas, people. Jivas means anything that lives, animals and plants and people. in this world. Jīvabhūtaḥ sanātanaḥ. A part of me itself has become the jivas in the world of living beings. Sanātana, amsha means the part. The part is eternal, sanātana. There is no beginning to God. There is no time at which he came into existence. He has always been there, anadi, beginningless, and there is no end to the existence of God. Anadi madhyant anta. Adi madhyanta rahita. Adi madhyanta rahita. There is no beginning, there is no middle, there is no end for God. That we studied in the second chapter. Describing the Atman, Sri Krishna said, sloka number 20, in second chapter, very important verse. There he said, this Atman or Brahman, na jayate, na mriyate, does not take birth. It has always been there. There is no one time when it came into existence. World has a beginning and an end. Everything in the world, but not God or Brahman. Na jayate, na mriyate, does not die. All other beings die. Even the sun dies. And other beings, galaxies also die. They get sucked into the black hole and nothing. So, but God, Brahman, has no beginning, no end. Sanātana means eternal, amsha, part of me. Now here one question arises. How can there be parts to infinite? Brahman is pure consciousness. If God is a personal God also, how can he have parts? That question comes. This amsha part means only as it appears to us from our perspective. God has no parts, infinity has no parts. Pure consciousness cannot be divided into parts. Just like space. Space cannot be divided into parts. But it appears that it is divided into parts when you see it in a container. In this cup, empty cup, there is space. It is not really divided into two parts. Space inside the cup, outside the cup. There is no division there. Space is continuum. But if you look at the cup, it appears, oh, space in the cup is different from space outside. It only our perspective. There is no part at all. Its own whole continuum. Creation is one continuum. It appears to be divided into different beings, different parts. That's not. It should not be taken literally. Mamaivāṃśo jīvaloke. That is studied in the 13th chapter. There Bhagavan said, avibhaktam cha bhūteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam. 13th chapter, sloka number 16. There, Sri Krishna already answered this question. How can there be parts to God? Avibhaktam, indivisible. Vibhaga means to divide into parts. Avibhakta means God or pure consciousness, Brahman is indivisible, cannot cut it into pieces. It's like space, you cannot cut it into. It appears to be separate because there is a building here, space inside this hall is different space above first floor. Really, there is no separation. It appears like that. Avibhaktam cha bhūteshu vibhaktam iva sthitam. As if it is divided. Iva means as if, vibhaktam, divided. It appears only from our perspective. Really, there is no division or separation. Okay. There is a comment from Pratīp from Greenwich, Connecticut. My old friend from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thank you, Pratīp. Mamaivāṃśo jīvaloke. Jīvabhūtaḥ sanātana. Eternal. Sanātana means eternal God. As if a part of him has become divided into different beings. Now let us take the 5-6 people sitting here and more people watching. We all separate people physically. I'm separate. Purunji is separate. Jasriji is separate. Mataji is separate. We are not same. But in the consciousness within us also appears to be separate. I'm conscious of my body. I'm conscious of you. You are conscious of other things. But really, from the cosmic point of view, there is no separation. There is no separation between me and this table. It appears to be separate. Move separately, I move separately. But whole of Prakriti is one continuum. There is no point or line where I ends and it begins. It appears like that. Oh, I'm separate, it's separate. It stays here, I go upstairs, like that one. But everything is one continuum, especially the consciousness within us one appears to be separate. That's from our perspective. But when we change our perspective, if we go into samadhi, then all separation vanishes. Those who went into samadhi, they say, only one continuum, pure, infinite, pure consciousness. There is no be, there is no you, there is no me, there is no table, there is no building. They also appears to be separate from me. Present in the waking state, they appear to be separate. So it is a matter of perspective. There is no real division. mamaivāṃśo jīvaloke jīvabhūtaḥ sanātanaḥ amśah. Eternal. What does it do? What does the Lord do? manaḥṣaṣṭhānīndriyāṇi prakṛtisthāni karṣati. Karṣati means attracts. Akarshana means attraction. The word Krishna comes from this same root. Krishna is one who attracts. Very attractive personality, Krishna. Shiva may not be attractive because he has a jata and this a snake and he doesn't wear cloth. Not so attractive. But Krishna very pleasing to see. Lovely. Karṣati means he attracts. Attracts means consciousness appears to be, not really, combined with Indriyāṇi manaḥṣaṣṭhānī. 5 indriyas and the mind. 5 jnanendriyas and the mind. As if they are combined into one group, one unit. 5 indriyas, the 5 jnanendriyas, eyes, ears, nose for smell, for touch and taste, plus mind, which makes all these things function, plus consciousness. That combination becomes a unit, one being, a man, woman, or animal, or other being, living being. Sense organs and the physical body combined with consciousness of God is this person. So if you analyze this one human being into its parts, what do we see there? The visible part. Visible part is the body, my face, eyes, hands, and everything, sense organs. That's one part of me. But that's not all. Mind is there, not visible, but you can see it is there. And then that's not all. There's consciousness. God's presence is there, which is not visible. It will become visible when we sharpen our drishti, vision. It will come later. When can we see God? He remains hidden right now. I only see the body, mind. What dress they are wearing, what their language they are speaking. That's all I know. But I don't see the God in you. But it will be possible for every one of us to see God in everyone. It will be possible. We can. It will happen by the grace of God. When has it happened? What does it take for me to see God in you? That will be explained. It has come before, it will explain. Our destiny is to be united with God. See God in all, in oneself and all. It will happen. That's a separate topic. manaḥṣaṣṭhānīndriyāṇi prakṛtisthāni. Where are all these sense organs and the stomach and my legs and hands and eyes and hair, and where were they before? In Prakriti, in nature. Same material which has become the body, same material has become the tree, same material has become the table, Same material has become the building and everything. Prakriti, material part. Purusha is the God's divine person. Combine them, one unit personality. Human being or other being. That's how it is made. So this sloka itself, there's a lot of things to think about in this sloka. It says, as the sun reflected in water is a part of the sun that goes back to the sun and does not come back when the water medium of reflection is no longer there. You can see in another way, sun is there in the sky. Only one sun is there. And if you have 5, 6 different water parts, some big, some small, water is there in each of them. If you keep these spots outside on a sunny day, you see the reflection of the sun in each of them. How many reflections? As many as there are parts. Now, what we are seeing is the reflection of God in all the beings, bodies. That's another way to look at it. But only one God is there. His presence appears as a reflection in the water, reflection of sun in the water particles. Another example, Pratibimbavada, Descartes. Now, avibhaktam cha bhuteshu, vibhaktam cha sthitam. One divine God, Parabrahman, present in all the beings, infinite number of beings, animals, plants, people, all kinds of people, appears to be divided into so many different parts. Really, it's only one, like space. So what the message we have to take from this sloka number 7 is, when you see something or somebody, another person, an animal or a plant or even an object, when you see, what we should think, what we should see, we are seeing the outer part. Outer appearance only we are seeing. But we should know that that is not all. What we see is not all that is there. There is much more to it than what we can see, our eyes can see. And the hidden part is the divine presence. It is absolutely truth. It is there. We are not able to see, does not mean it is not there. I cannot see so many things. That does not mean that they are not there. So we should not limit what we see to be what is there. What is there is much more than what we can see. What we can see is a small part of what is there, because of the limitation of our sense organs and the mind. But how can we see the hidden part? It is possible. Everyone can. How is explained in other parts of the Gita. In the Upanishad, there is a very nice verse in the Katha Upanishad. It says the same thing. When can we see God? I'm only seeing the body mind. The answer is given here. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudah atmana prakāṣate. Sarveshu bhuteshu, in all the beings, animate, inanimate, moving, not moving, on all the sarveshu bhuteshu, esha atma, this atman. You can call it God, personal God, Ishvara, or you can call it Brahman. Different Gyanis call it Brahman, Upanishad. Ordinary people, devotees call it God in the Puranas. Either way, truth is only one. Different ways of looking at it. Yesha Atma, this Atman, one, singular, no plural for Atma. Sarveshu Bhuteshu, in all the beings, without any exception, good people and bad people. Yesha Atma, Gudaha, Guda means remains hidden from you. छिपा हुआ है, does not come out. Na prakāṣate, does not come out and say, oh, look at me, I'm God present in you. It remains hidden from you, inside. The body is the covering, body mind is the covering. The mind always attracts attention. Oh, look at me, I'm different from you. I'm a Swami, I'm wearing this dress. As other people, oh, look at me, I'm a rich man, I'm driving this Lamborghini. You're only driving a Toyota. Look at me. Everything wants to attract attention to oneself. Rich people Or somebody with some other qualification, he say, oh, look at me, I'm special in this way, like that one. Atman does not do that one. Remains inside, making everything possible, but quiet. Na prakāṣate. Then if he does not become visible, how can we see? That as answered in the same mantra. Yesha sarvesha bhutesha gudātmana prakāṣate. However, drishyate, it can be seen. We can see God. We can see God in everyone. We have to see God. How? How is it possible? How does it become possible? Right now I'm not seeing God. Drishyate agriya buddhya, sukshmaya buddhya. Buddhi means the intellect, the discriminating power of the mind to penetrate and see the truth behind the appearance. That buddhi should be sukshma, very subtle. Ours is generally sthula. Gross objects I can see, name and form, I can touch it. But subtle object I cannot see with the present vision. But if I sharpen my vision, I can see the inner part of it. So, sukshmaya buddhya, buddhi that can see sukshma, subtle things. Agraya buddhya, agra means sharp intellect, subtle intellect. By that, drishyate, God can be seen. And right now, our buddhi is not so much well equipped, but it can be made sharp and subtle. Everybody's buddhi can be made. Potential is there. It requires some work. Any kind of spiritual practice, bhakti yoga or karma yoga or jnana yoga, will make the mind pure and sharp and able to penetrate the form and see the presence of God. That's why holy people can see God's presence in us. When Sri Ramakrishna saw somebody for the first time, right away he could see inside him. What kind of person is he? Where is he spiritually? All those things, whole truth would appear to him, which we cannot figure out. So that ability to penetrate the outer appearance and see God in everyone and everything can be acquired by everybody. Everybody has the potential, but two things are necessary. One is a little bit of self-effort, interest must be there, and God's grace is necessary. Both. God's grace is the major part. Plus our 5%, 2% of our effort, 98% of God's grace makes it possible. Prayer. manaḥṣaṣṭhānīndriyāṇi prakṛtisthāni karṣati. So this answers the question who we all are. Every one of us, in every one of us, the same divinity resides. The bodies are different, minds are different, and the cloth, everything, somebody changes every moment. Every day we eat food and old cells are going, new cells are coming. It's not same body. Today, my body is not same as what it was yesterday or last month. It has changed, but you don't see the change. Some cells have disintegrated, new cells have come into existence. So, but it is appearing there. That's what we see, outer covering. Content we are not seeing. It is possible to see the content. It's possible to see God. That's the message of Vedanta. Everyone has the potential. Everyone may not use the potential, reach the goal in this life, but eventually, maybe in next life, they will be able to see God, reach the goal. Then that is that sloka. We are all essentially divine. Who are we? Mamaivāṃśo. We are all divine. So this is what Swamiji simply said. Swami Vivekananda said, each soul is potentially divine. That means the divinity is hidden potentially within each soul. What we see is the outer covering. The divinity which is within us, God within us, we don't see. But it will be possible to see for every one of us. Then we go to sloka number 8. This is how this divine presence in each one of us operates and functions in a visible way to us. 8. Shariram yadavapnoti yacchapyutkramati gृहीत्वैतानि samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. This also explains the continuity of life. Your shariram, that means the body which is a part of Prakriti. Shariram avapnoti, the divine presence acquires this body from nature. This body is made up of parts of nature: water, air, and physical material, everything gathered from nature made into this body. And when the body dies, everything will go back to its constituent, go back to nature. So that is the body. In this, his presence is there. He acquires this body as if. So we have to add as if. Shariram yadavapnoti. Apnoti means gains. Yachapi Ishvaraha utkramati. Ishvara means a jiva here. Ishvara combined with deha, body, and other things. That jiva. They are describing the jivatma here. The jivatma shariram utkramati, leaves the body. He acquires the body at the time of birth. Baby is born. Baby body made from nature, the baby's body. And then he lives in that body. The body becomes goes through changes, becomes old man. And then when it is no longer able to function, he leaves the body. Body will go back to nature from where it came. Grihitvaitani samyati. Grihitva means holding on to these things, carrying these things. Etani means the five sense organs and the mind, the whole physical body. Grihitva etani samyati. He moves forward. How does he move forward? Vayu gandhan iva ashayat. Just as air carries the odor, fragrance or bad odor, beer carries, but air itself is not affected by it. It carries the good or bad smell from one place, one object, and spreads it in the space. Air does it that one. In the same way, just as air carries the odor, the Lord carries the body mind, and then the body mind is temporary, comes and goes, odor, air remains unaffected. He remains unaffected. That means God is unaffected. The God within is unaffected by birth and death. Birth and death means collecting all the beings together, material, body, mind, sense organs, everything, birth. When they disintegrate, we call it death. But he remains constant throughout. Body becomes old, he does not become old. There is no old age for God within us. There is no birth for God. He was always been there before the body was born. Nazayate namriyate 220. All the changes happen to the body mind only, from birth to death. Every day it is changing. But the Lord within, he does not change. He remains a constant. Pure consciousness cannot change. He remains constant. No old age, no birth, no death, no disease for divine presence within us. Grihitvaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. When the potent jiva gains a fresh body and moves out of it, it takes these sense organs just as air takes the scents, fragrance, or odor from their abodes. The divine presence remains unaffected. What is affected is all the material part is affected. The material part in us changes moment to moment, every moment. But the divinity within us remains constant. throughout our existence. And it remains even after the body goes away. As explained in the 220. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. When the sharira, that physical body, disintegrates and dies, atmana hanyate. Excuse me. The divine presence does not go out of existence, does not die. For there is no birth, there is no death, there is no old age. Body goes through all the changes, he inside remains constant. And when this body disintegrates, unable to function, it goes back to nature, he takes another body, and jiva continues from birth to birth. The jiva is God's presence. Now we go to sloka number 9. The main thing to be noted in these 5 slokas is essentially, in essence, all of us are He alone, God alone. Essential part in this. But that remains hidden behind the body mind, which is the outer covering, which comes and goes and changes every moment. It changes. So our attention must be focused on the divine presence in the things that we see, not so much on the outer shell, body, mind, which they come and go, they change. That's not the main thing. So we should focus our attention on God within everyone. That is why when we see somebody in India, we say Namaste, Jai Ram Ji ki, Jai Shri Krishna, Namaskar. Why do we say we do like this? Why do we do that one? Recognize divine presence in that person. At least theoretically, though we may not actually experience it, but at least we say that one in word. Namaskar. Whom to namaskar to whom? Not to the body man, to the divine God presence within you. That is the cultural aspect of it. How this idea translates into action. And people like us, we should not simply say it as words, formality or namaskar, not like that. We should really try to see God in that person. If somebody comes to our house, our Upanishad says Atiti Deva Bhava. When Atiti means guest comes, then we should treat him as God. Why? He is God. That's what when you translate it into action, you see all those things, instructions make sense. When somebody comes to your house or your room, who comes? You see the body comes. That's what we see. What dress he is wearing, that's what we see. No, the Lord comes wearing that body. So we should treat all people, just father, mother, guest, everybody as God. That's what Upanishad says. Matra Devo Bhava. Who is the mother? Not the physical body which gives to another. God, divine mother, God in the form of the mother. Who is the father? Pitardeva Bhava. God in the form of the father. Who is the teacher? Teacher may be a person, man or woman, but God in the form of the teacher. Acharya Devo Bhava. Atiti Devo Bhava. Then finally, Sarva Deva Bhava. Not only father, mother, teacher, and guest, everybody, the Lord Himself. That cosmic vision, we have to acquire. Great saints can do that one. When Ramana Maharshi saw someone, he didn't pay much attention to the outer appearance of that person. He saw Brahman in that. Everything is Brahman. He was a Jnani, he was everything as Brahman. What is there other than Brahman? Nothing. When we see somebody, we are focusing on the outer visible part. There it ends. Now we should penetrate and see God in everyone. At least make an effort. We may not be successful right away today. I may not be able to see God, but we make a beginning. Unless we make a beginning, how can we reach the goal? Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramatishvara grihitvaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. When we believe in rebirth means The divine presence continues from birth to birth. Jiva continues from birth to birth. Body, part of the mind, Sura Sharira, they all change from every birth. This body will not function anymore. New body will be created, taking material from nature, same as this body was created. And the content, divine presence continues the same from birth to birth to birth. Jiva, we call it Jiva. How long this will happen? Birth and death, birth and death. As long as the Jiva identifies with the body and does not know its true nature. When that realization comes, when you see God in bhakti terms, when you realize God, Jnani says, when I get self-knowledge, Atma Jnana, then no more birth, no more death. That is liberation or moksha. No birth and death. Freedom from the cycle of birth and death. That is our goal. But how to begin to move to that goal? Trying to see God in all and everything. How to translate it into action? Let us start with simple things. This book is there. And if I just look at the book, it's all made of paper, bound together, sheets printed. Matter, right? Is it all? No. Divine presence. Actually, I was told this by I think I said this before. When I was a student, one day I was reading a book, my parents' home, like this one, some book, I don't remember. A visitor came, a distant relative, he came. He was a Vedic scholar, Ganapati. And when he came, I kept the book and got up and greeted him. We talked. Then after some time, he told me gently, you see, when I came here reading the book, and we kept the book like this and got up and we started talking. He said, always keep the book like this. I had kept the book like this, face down, back cover up. He said, keep it. What a big, it's a great deal. What? Keep the book like this or like that. What's the big? No. See God's presence in it. He didn't say all this lecture. He didn't give me the lecture. He just told me the instruction. Always keep the book nicely, gently, as it should be. Hidden behind his words were the instruction in it book also God is. He didn't make it, he didn't explain or give me a lecture. He told me that. Same thing in Holy Mother family. One lady swept the floor using the broom. In India, they have the broomstick. No vacuum cleaner, no carpet. The floor covering was either cement or earth or cow dung. Cow dung is the floor covering. With the broom, they clean it and gather the dust and throw it. So after using the broom for sweeping the floor, that lady carelessly put the broom somewhere. Mother noticed that one. And she called that lady and told her gently, see, that's not right. You use the broom for your work, and after using it, please keep it gently, nicely in its assigned place. For two reasons. She didn't give a big lecture, mother. She just gave the instruction. One reason is sheer expediency, convenience. Next time when you want to sweep the floor, you don't have to look for the broom all over the place. You know where it is. Predictably, you can find the broom in the same place, you keep it in the same place, assigned to it all the time. One reason, convenience. No aggravation. Otherwise, where is the broom? Where is the broom? I kept it there. No, you kept it there. Aggravation, argument. Keep in the same place. One reason, convenience. Second reason is the broom is as much a part of this family as you and I are. Extending that one, the same consciousness within me and you is also in the broom. Not visible, but it's there. That's what Vedanta says. That's the truth. So the seeing divine presence in inanimate objects also, animals and plants also have to treat everything nicely, gently, no hatred towards any being. Adveshtasura bhutanam, chapter 12, verse 13. A devotee should never have a hatred towards any being, even maybe a wicked person, we should not hate. Pray for that person, gently try to deal with the person, but no hatred. When a judge awards a sentence to a convicted person for some crime, the judge does not do it out of hatred. It's a correctional measure. This person, if left free in the society, will create more trouble for other people, robbery or whatever for which he is convicted. So to protect society from further damage from this person, the person has to be isolated. Second reason is that person, when he is put in a correctional facility, there he will hopefully, we hope, he will reflect and think about what he did, what happened, maybe we should not do it again. That some correction may happen. But no hatred, like that one. Adveshtasara bhutanam. That is, these are all the implications of seeing God's presence in all. May everybody, why should you pray for everybody? If I am happy, that's okay. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, why we should say. Whether do I care whether you are happy, she is happy, he is happy? No. Who are you, or she and he? All God. He in different forms. So that is the broader view, application in everyday life. So when you see somebody, nicely greeting that person, namaskar, seeing God in that person. Now let us continue the two more slokas quickly. Ninth sloka. Srotram chakshusparshanam cha rasanam ghranameva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. The sloka number 9. The ear, the eye, the skin, chotram chakshus parshanam cha, the tongue and the nose, rasanam ghranameva cha, as well as the mind, manascha, mind also, adhisthaya, resorting to this, the jivatma, resorting to this, the jiva experiences objects. Ayam means the jiva, the jivatma. Ayam is this person. Vishayan upasevate. He experiences all sense objects. The jivatma within us experiences sense objects through sense organ. Things that I can see with the eyes, I see other people and everything. With the ears, I can hear the sound. With hands, I can do things. With tongue, I taste things like that one. With sense of touch, I touch things, heat and cold, rough or smooth, like that one. So the Jivatma experiences whole world, sense objects, through the sense organs. These are medium, these are instruments. Sense organs are the instruments for the Jiva to experience sense objects. Vishayanupasevate. Then the important point is, although God is present in all and everything, doing all these things through the sense organs and the body, most people miss. They only see the outer, they only see the instrument but not the operator. They see the eyes, but they don't see the Jivatman using those eyes to see everything. They see the body, but not the indwelling spirit. Just explained in the sloka number 10, 10 and 11. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimodhananupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. Utkramantam. At the time of death, the conscious part leaves the body. Utkramana means giving up and moving forward, leaving behind. Sthitam vapi, staying during the lifetime period. When you are living, God's presence is here in each one of us. Gunanvitam means experiencing sukha, dukkha, moha, etc. Bhunjanam, experiencing good and bad, pain and pleasure, everything. Vimudaha na anupashyanti. Vimuda means foolish people. Those foolish people means not bad people. Those who don't have the sharp eyes to see God's presence. Untrained people. Vimoda naunu pashanti. They don't see the Lord. When I see people walking, talking, eating, etc., I don't see God in that person doing all those things, using the body, mind instrument. You see the instrument, but not the operator who is inside. That came in chapter 13, shloka number 13. All hands are God's hands, all feet are God's feet, all eyes are God's eyes. He is the one who uses all these instruments. You see the instruments, but you don't see the user. 13:13. सर्वतः पाणिपादं तत् सर्वतोक्षिशिरोमुखं सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके सर्वमावृत्य तिष्ठति. सर्वतः पाणिपादं तत्. 12. Yes. Sarvata Panipadam, Sarvata Akshishiromukam. All eyes are God. He is seeing through all the eyes. When you look at me, I think you are looking at me. But who is looking at me through your eyes? The Lord in you. That we miss. You only see the instrument and the outer body, mind, and you miss the real content, the Lord Himself. So, in the sloka number 10, that is explained. When the Lord is using this instrument during the lifetime of the body, He is there doing all these things through the instruments, and He leaves the body at the time of death. You don't see Him living or living in the body, using the body as an instrument, or leaving the body at the time of death. You only see the body. Vimodānāna paṣyanti. Those who don't have the eyes to see, they don't see the divine presence. They only see the body moving and doing things. Paṣyanti jnana chakshushaha. Jnana chakshu means a person who has the eyes that are sharp enough to see the divine presence. One whose mind is pure. Jnana chakshu means in the 11th chapter, when Bhagavan Shri Krishna revealed this cosmic form to Arjuna, Bhagavan gave him a special divya chakshu. With ordinary eyes, you cannot see that cosmic form, whole world in Krishna. Impossible to see. So Arjuna was given special divya chakshu during that Vishwarupa Darshana. Afterwards, he withdrew that one. Ordinary eyes came. So those who have sharpened their vision, that means purified their mind by any kind of spiritual practice, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, whatever your choice, they can see God's presence, God doing all these things through all the bodies. Vimodānāna paṣyanti. Those who have not done any purification of the mind through any kind of sadhana, they don't see God's presence. They only see the body moving and doing things. Then last one in this group. Yatanto yoginaschainam pasyantyatmanyavasthitam yatantopyakrtātmānaha nainam pasyantyachetasaha. Yatanta means those who strive hard. Yatna, prayatna karna. Yoginaha, yatanta, those yogis who strive hard, that means do spiritual practice of some kind. Enam pashyanti. Enam means the divine presence. They will see God's presence. Where Atmani avasthitam. Those who persevere, endured with yoga, see the jiva dwelling in the inner self, Atmani. Within the body-mind complex, the divine presence only yogis can see. Who are those people who have purified their mind, becoming free from kama, krodha, lobha, etc. by some means or other, by following any path. The obstruction why we cannot see God, though it is we are seeing Him all the time, but don't we recognize, because our instrument of perception in the mind is not pure, it's full of impurities. Some good things are also there. That's why you're at least doing this much. All old samskaras, some good, some bad, they are cluttered in the mind. So the bad samskaras creating in us the impurities such as kama, krodha, lobha, lust, anger, greed, pride, jealousy, all those things, fear, all those things, shame, etc. They are the impurities which make it not possible for us to see God's presence. Like a opaque sheet or a wall. But when you do sadhana of some kind, the mind becomes pure. That means it becomes like a clear, transparent sheet of glass. Then what is inside Atman, we can see within me, within you, everybody. That's how we see God, by purifying the mind. All spiritual practices are meant only to purify the mind, make it free from impurities such as lust, anger, greed. Once the mind is purified, God vision comes. So, yatanta yogina stenam. Yogis who do yatanta means they strive hard. Atmani avastitam enam pashyanti. They see the divine Lord present in the Atman, present in the inner self. Yatanto apyakartatmana. Akartatmana means those who have not purified their mind. With unpurified mind, those with unpurified minds, akratatmanaha, yatanto, though they strive hard, enam napashyanti, achetasaha, those who don't have the vision, clear, sukshma drishti, sukshma buddhi, agra buddhi, those who don't have that, they won't see God's presence. They see only container. They mistake. They make judgment based on the appearance. So he's a good person, he's a rich person, and she is such a person, he is such a person, all based on appearance. But inside God's presence, they won't be able to see. That to see that one, we have to do some kind of sadhana. Pasyan, tekartatmana, atantapi akartatmana, those who have not purified their mind, na enam pashyanti. They won't be able to see him, see God's presence. Yogina pashyanti. First line, yoginaha, yatantaha, yoginaha, enam pashyanti. They see the divine presence in all and everyone. So that is why holy company is necessary. So we'll conclude with this verse number 11, important section. From 12 to 15, topic changes. Next four sloka, they describe the omnipresence of God. 7 to 11 describe the Jivatma, God presence in all. 12 to 15, those sloka describe the omnipresence of God in a global way. So let us see. Closing prayer. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from ill health and other problems. May all realize and practice what is noble and dharmic and auspicious. May no one be subject to any kind of misery or suffering. Om peace. May there be peace in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all and stay well, and God willing, see you next week. Namaskar. 59